A few years ago, I was lucky enough to come across a hidden gem called Freedom Planet that captured the spirit of the old 2D Sonic the Hedgehog games. Having put over 300 hours into the game, I approached the sequel with a bit of apprehension. Did Galaxy Trails refine the formula that made the last game great? Or did they ruin the magic in an attempt to outdo the last game? The first thing that needs to be addressed is the story and the dialogue.
War Dog 2.
No, that's not true. I hate fighting. I have friends, and somewhere out there I have a mommy and daddy who love me very much.
Like the last game, it's terrible. If this game carries the spirit of Sonic the Hedgehog, then the story carries the spirit of Sonic the Hedgehog fan fiction.
Wait, where are you guys going? You said not to do anything stupid. And miss out on all the fun? No way. Besides, everything we do.
We're talking weapons grade level of cringe, especially when the game tries to be dramatic. It may be enough to turn people off from the game, especially if you come to these type of games for the story. But to be honest, I'm glad that it stayed this way. It's corny, but honestly, it is part of what the game is. You know, in an era of cynicism, the fact that both the writers and the voice actors give an earnest effort is kind of charming in a way. It's like an ugly dog. The flaws end up kind of becoming charming. You like it in spite of it because it just is what it is. So that's probably the biggest turnoff of the game, I'd say. And the fact that, of course, it is kind of free. If you noticed, there's definitely a free element to it. So those are two biggest turnoffs of what the game is. The engine is where the game really shines. The characters move with a sense of momentum. With well-timed and well-placed movements, you can move at breakneck speeds. The freedom that you have to perform and use different elements of the map are one thing that just makes it so addictive. You know, you could use a spring, you could boost off the spring for even more momentum, you could just ignore the spring. So these things aren't like some of these Sonic games nowadays where you just hit it and then you watch as, you know, they just do some loop-de-loops or, you know, fly over it. You actually interact with them. You use them as part of playing the game and navigating the stage. And this really helps with the replayability, especially if you want to beat, you know, your times, try to get par times on every stage. It's a lot of fun. Combat is one of the things that actually separates this game from Sonic. Sonic has a level of simplicity that I really appreciate because you simply just jump at the enemies and hit them on the place that isn't spiked or when they're vulnerable. It's very easy to understand, and anybody can that's ever played a video game before can kind of get the idea that you just jump onto the guy and hit him. But with this, they add in some more complex mechanics, and this is actually one of the reasons I kind of like indie games is that they're not afraid to go for a niche audience. They're not afraid to turn off some more of the casual players with these mechanics, and it makes for a more complicated, a little more of a challenging experience, but it's still good. The mechanics themselves are solid. They just take some getting used to, which again, like I said, might turn off some players if, you know, you're not willing to put in the effort to kind of get to learn how to use these things. But once you do, I think they're really solid and makes for really fun boss fights and enemy fights as part of the sort of platforming element that's in the game. One of the new additions to this game from the last is the hub world, which is good and bad. It's bad in the sense that it increases the time in between you're actually playing stages and playing the actual core of the gameplay. It's good in the sense that you do get a better idea of the world that you're actually playing the game in. You get a sense, Avalis, which is the world that this takes place in. You get a sense of what that is, what the game is. And that does help you kind of invest in the characters and the story, as corny as it may be. But I did enjoy that. And they also have, different things that you can do, like new items, which I actually like the system that they put in, because you could add items to make the stage more challenging, like, items that would reduce your life total to 0 or just one hit and you'll die. things that like stop you from guarding, things that put, you get no bonuses if you don't complete it within a certain time limit. You also have stuff that makes it easier, like all the crystals can turn to petals, or you can, leech life with attacks, or you start with a shield and you can generate a whole lot of shield. It's a whole lot of shields just from getting one shield. So there's a way you can custom make the challenge that you want by simply adding the items or that you want to put in. And of course, they give you reward bonuses for harder items, and they take it away for easier items. So if you wanted to get all S rank on stages, then you'd have to put on some more of the challenging items. They also added mini games, replaying boss battles. You can do some extra challenges. They have hidden items through some of the stages and hidden records. But a lot of these things are collectathon stuff. But for hardcore players that want to get more hours out of the game, now this is kind of a fun thing to actually go and search for. So I appreciate that from the people at Galaxy Trail. So there is a little more replayability on that end if you just don't want to go for some sort of speed running or best stage times. You got something like that for maybe more of a casual player, or player that really just likes to collect stuff. The stages are worth playing multiple times though, as they're really beautiful. They offer many unique gimmicks that thankfully most of them don't slow down gameplay. The music I think is solid. It fits the mood. It works with the stage. My favorite part is that the stages really tell a story. As you play through the level, the stage can will change as you progress. Like a highway that's under construction will become a tunneling operation, for the highway. Some future bosses will show up, harass you during the stage that you'll eventually, go and fight at the end of the stage. There's fighting that'll take place in the background. The backgrounds themselves, I love it when a background kind of tells the story that's taking place in the level. I love it. That's just one of those little things that I just really like. Chef's kiss type of things. And the stages will shift as events happen in the story. And all of it just kind of makes it more exciting to finish the level and see what happens. To me, Freedom Planet 2 is exactly what a sequel should be. The core that made the first game such a gem, it's intact, and they've refined it. They got new features that expand the world and kind of give you a sense of what the world is. A lot more replay value for players and different players, more things to collect. And if you're not into speedrunning, they give you more stuff. But speedrunning itself, I think, is just as fun. The core of the gameplay is there. So if that's something that you enjoy, if you enjoyed the old Sonic games, you want a colorful world with some furry characters, it's a lot of fun. Freedom Planet's got you covered. I really enjoy it, and I hope you enjoy it too. So give it a try if this looks like something you'd enjoy. I think on sale you can probably get it for under $20. So it's a fairly cheap game with a lot of fun. I might be making some more content on it later, so look out for that. But this is just my review on it. Hope you enjoyed it. I'll talk to you later. Goodbye.